guys, to a new episode of our podcast made by students for students. It is called Between Brains, and today our topic is dick pics and nudes. And my two guests are Gabriel and Finja. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
You start because you're a lady.
Thank you. I'm Finja, I'm 19, I'm from Germany, and I'm really excited to be here, yeah.
My name is Gabriel. I'm from Bulgaria, 20 years old, CB student, second year.
Yeah, me too.
Perfect. So do you guys want to answer the first and most important question? Did you receive or send any nudes and dick pics? Just be honest about it.
Yes, I have received multiple. Actually, when I was in 10th grade, I created a folder in which I collect all of them. I also sent a couple. This doesn't count if I send it to my girlfriend, because if I'm with her for a long period, like we used to our nudity. But yes, I've sent and I've received photos.
Do you want to talk about your experience with it?
Yeah, same goes for me, I guess. But I feel like as a girl, it's much more likely to just like get a random picture from a guy that you did not ask for and that you didn't want, like without any conversation beforehand. It's just like, oh, that's a penis. So that's something that I feel like girls experience more.
I think so too. But in my personal case, the very first nude I received was without asking. It came out of nowhere, and I got really excited about receiving it, to be honest.
But did it make you feel uncomfortable in any way? Like receiving pics you didn't even ask for? Because like it's someone you may not know as well sending you their naked bodies or parts of their body, so it might be a little bit weird to experience that.
Not in my case. I got excited. I was like, "Ooh, what do we got here?" No, but maybe she has different experience, because I believe receiving a random dick all of a sudden it's something quite weird.
Yeah, I feel like the older I got, the more I got used to it, because like you probably know it as well, I guess. Like it happens from time to time. But when I was younger, it was also mostly from people I knew, like out of my personal life. And that was kind of uncomfortable, because if you only know someone from online and they send you something, you can just like block them and it's fine.
Mm.
You never have to deal with them anymore. But if it's someone you know and you like, for example, go to school with them or something and they send you a picture and you don't reply because it's like you didn't want that.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It's just weird. And then you
Yeah.
see them the next day in class and you're like,
And instead of their face,
I know
you
so
see.
much about you now.
Yeah. And in general, like, did you get those pics just within a normal conversation you had, or was it like, were you registered on a certain dating platform? So because
Well, when I used to text girls a lot about, like getting on together and going out and do stuff, I used to, like, most of the time when we text, it's like the whole conversation would be kind of flirty. So everything would lead to that direction, to maybe sex and nudes, but I've never been registered on platforms like Tinder or stuff like that.
Well, I briefly used Tinder at a point for like a month or two. And I don't think it has a picture function. I'm not sure though. At least like on Tinder, I have never received any picture.
No, maybe
At all.
maybe I formulated it the wrong way, but maybe you met someone on Tinder or wherever, and just they gave you their number, or like the other way around, and then that happened. So
Well, yeah, also not really, because I'm also like I feel like that's just not the kind of platform for me where I'm like matching with someone and then I'm like, oh no, I'm too shy for this. Never mind, I am done with this. So that might add to that. But yeah, from any kind of dating platform or anything, I have not really received any nudes. But from like a lot of it was just Instagram, like random people on Instagram texting me and like hey, you're pretty, here, have a nude. And I'm like, thanks.
I guess.
It's like when a cat puts a dead mouse in front of you and I'm like, I know you mean well, but I really didn't ask for this.
I get it. But in general, you are open to sending and receiving nudes, I guess?
Yeah, I am, I think.
I would say yes.
Yeah. And what do you think about like the dangerous part of it? Because I bet you heard about different things that happen to people who sent nudes and they got blackmailed, or maybe in school everyone saw the picture and then they get bullied or stuff like that. Are you afraid of something like that happening to you?
Well, I think there is a big difference between girls sending nudes and boys sending nudes, because when girls send a nude photo of her and this picture like goes around the social media or stuff like that, most of the people would consider that girl a slut or something like that. While if a boy's dick pic goes on social media, it wouldn't be like, I think it would be a promotion rather than something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I used to be very, very scared of that because little backstory here. I grew up in a very, very small place where literally everyone knew everyone, and there was a lot of like stuff like that going on where pictures got leaked and basically everyone saw it because we were like 10 people there. So I used to be very scared of that. At some point, a guy threatened me to like publish my nudes, and I was like, well, then I'm just gonna sue you. So he did not do it.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah. I mean, generally, I don't really send stuff that I feel like would destroy me if it got published.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, even if you do it, like, you're probably gonna be on the worst end of that deal because, I did not consent to that.
Yeah.
But also, it still sucks, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it never happened to me, luckily.
Perfect. But do you guys have partners now?
Yes.
And don't mind me asking, and you don't have to answer, but are you open to sexting and sending nudes, and are you doing that currently?
Well, since I just hooked up with that girl, we're like for maybe a week or two already together, and I don't feel like already sending her dick pics or stuff like that. I mean, it would be weird at that point of the relationship. But maybe I had a girlfriend, for example, for 1 year, and I'm at my working place, and all of a sudden someone is messaging me, and that's her sending me a pic of her ass or titties. And for example, sometimes we just sending just randomly, because for example, sometimes we don't have not anything to talk, but we're just being how to say, acting.
Horny.
Yeah, horny or something like that. Yeah. Most of the time we also like make a nude video conversations.
Oh, hello.
Fun.
More details about that.
But it's funny. I mean, if you're like in that point of the relationship,
Yeah,
yes,
you're
but
trusting each other,
yeah,
basically.
trusting
Yeah.
each other. Trust is the main word here.
Yeah, yeah. And but what is the deal with these pigs? Like, why is it so? Is it like because it feels forbidden, or why does everybody wants to receive those pigs or wants to send those pigs? It's like, because in your head there's always the thing, you can get bullied. It is always what you send. It is always somewhere you can find it. And why would people do it anyway? Like, what is behind that?
Well, for me, it's very much a matter of, I think I look good in this. I take more nudes than I send. I feel like that's the case for most people. Like, if you take a picture of yourself, you're not gonna be like, oh, that works, that's fine. I mean, it's not pretty, but that works. You're probably gonna take like a couple more just to like look a bit better and stuff like that. So for me, it's like a matter of like feeling good about myself and kind of wanting to share that. That sounds deeper than it is, but yeah. just like I would upload a pretty selfie I took, I would send a good nude,
Okay.
I guess.
That's a different point of view, but okay.
Another thing is that nowadays everybody is somehow promoting their business, especially girls. For example, on social media like platforms like Instagram. If there is a naked body, the amount of views which that photo or likes that photo is going to receive is way bigger than, for example, the photo that is with the face on it. So I think this is also, as I said earlier, like part of the promotion, and that is why most of the people now are sharing photos all around the media and stuff.
Yeah, we're getting back to that topic a little bit later. But do you think our society is oversexed? Because like of all the nudes and dick pics and sexting and then sex sells in movies, in advertisements, on Instagram, you know what I mean? It's just getting more and more, I guess. That's what I feel like. Is it the same for you?
Yes.
Yes, I guess. I'm always kind of torn about like whether that's a good thing or not, because obviously everything's getting more open and conversations like this one can happen now, which is really cool. But also, it's also kind of toxic, I guess, in some ways. So I don't know where I stand on that issue, to be honest.
I think music industries like film and stuff, they're all promoting that nudity and sexism in a way higher level. For example, all these trap songs we're now like everybody's listening, they're all singing about girls and asses and bitches. So I feel like even though they're just singing and we're liking that music, we're kind of getting unconsciously more into that state of being.
And don't you think it gets boring after a while? Because we're all doing it, we're seeing it daily, we're hearing it daily, maybe with music. Because I was talking to a friend lately and he's like, I'm watching a lot of porn and I'm watching like really hard, disgusting porn just because it's boring otherwise. Not because I like it, but it's just boring.
Yeah, you
And
get
you know,
desensitized,
yeah.
kind of.
And I don't know if that should be the way, like, you know, it's just, can people still enjoy each other while having all that sex around them?
Especially, I think in media, it's a very glorified version of sex and of bodies and people, because if you look at any movie at all, it's usually, especially for girls, it's like a girl with a perfect body and a young girl, like 90% of people can't live up to that, and that's where it gets kind of problematic, I think.
Yeah, I guess so too. And do you think, because I thought at first when I got into the topic that it's more common within the boys' community, what do you think? Do you think it is equal, or do you think the boys do it more or enjoy it more, or, you know, are more into it, or what do you think?
What exactly right now?
Like, yeah, sexting and
Sending and receiving,
yeah,
is
both.
all of it?
Yeah, like the whole package.
That's a good question.
I think boys are enjoying receiving rather than sending more, while the girls don't really care that much. I mean, that is my personal opinion. For the boys, when you receive a nude photo, it's like getting into the next phase. So as the movies are like, for example, there's those first phase, or like kissing, then hugging and whatever. Maybe the opposite. But receiving a nude is getting on the next level. You know, you step closer to having the sex.
Okay. And yeah, coming to Instagram, do you think, starting off with the Instagram regulations, do you think it is fair that women can post pictures with their nipples on it or with a little bit of nudity and they get banned or shadow banned just because they show something they just have, which is normal, which is naturally theirs, their body? Do you think that's okay? Because it doesn't happen to men as often, I guess. So what do you think about it?
I think it's a very difficult topic, because you have to walk on that very thin line between freedom of expression and like your freedom of expression kind of hurting someone else, because Instagram is supposed to be for everyone 13 and up, but that's not how it's going. Like there are children on this Instagram, obviously, as on every social media platform. And it's really difficult to decide what can go on there and what can't.
And do you think it's fair just because it's a body and everyone should know how a body looks?
Yeah.
So it actually shouldn't matter, right?
Yeah.
It's not porn on there, it's just maybe someone shirtless on the beach or whatever. So I don't think it is fair to just ban it or delete it or whatever happens. So what is your opinion on it? Like,
Well, as she said, the line is pretty like thin and it can easily get crossed. But for example, there are many Instagram accounts that are sharing the so-called body art. Then these are pictures of naked females that are like posting, and like they're all looking beautiful. I enjoy this kind of art, but I don't know to what extent a photo can be posted and can be taken off, because I've seen photos of nipples and stuff that are still on Instagram, while others are complaining how their photo, for example, ass cheek got taken off because it's an ass cheek.
yeah.
I mean, it's Instagram, like the people who take the pictures down are still human. That's the issue. So they always kind of judge, is that like in the guidelines,
Yeah.
like can I keep this up? And I've seen a lot of things get taken down that are completely not justified.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Yeah.
because the way I feel like the way Instagram operates is like, okay, we don't want nipples, we don't want butts, and also if we kind of think we don't want it here, we're just gonna delete it. So, like when you post something on Instagram, I mean, if that's the kind of content you post, I guess, it's always a surprise.
If it stays on
If it
Instagram
stays
or
on
gets
Instagram,
deleted,
yeah. And I feel like that's a big problem, especially for people who use Instagram as a platform for their business. Like when they, like for example, sex workers or people who are in the porn industry, they use a lot of Instagram to promote their stuff. And when that's not an option for them anymore, that's kind of,
Yeah. And what do you think about, because as you said, there are more children on Instagram than you think, and they're still in the process of growing up and puberty and whatever. So what do you think, will these children learn from Instagram? You know, there are a lot of influencers and they actually have a lot of influence on those children and they're role models and they show themselves half naked just because it sells better. But what do you think those children, those children will do? Because it's their role model. So, you know, most of the times when I go on the street, I see children or girls and boys in the age of 14, 15, maybe younger, and they don't look like they're 14. They look like they're 20, 23, 25, and I'm shocked because I have siblings, and I don't know if it's because of the influence of Instagram, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you maybe have siblings as well? Do you experience that as well?
I have a smaller sister that is maybe she's 5 years younger than me, and by the way she's making up herself, I cannot say that she's 5 years younger than me. She looks like a grown-up, mature woman. And I feel like the more children are following those Instagram models or stuff like that, the more false perception they would have about what should be priority in their life. Because I think that for many people, the main priority is to look good, to look beautiful, to look better than the other. And that is kind of wrong in my opinion, because there are parents that are supposed to teach those children on what is important and what is not. And when they fail in that, we can see the result on Instagram, on, as you said, on the streets.
But just to highlight the positive side of this, the like body positivity movement and stuff is also like, especially on Instagram and like picture-based social media, I guess, has gotten pretty big. And I feel like that's a good influence again on young people.
That's
because
true, yeah.
if you're someone who doesn't fit the
norm.
the Hollywood body standard,
Yeah,
I guess, not even the norm, but like who doesn't look ideal, and you don't see yourself represented on Instagram, and you only have those like beauty
Perfect
influencers
Yeah.
who just look perfect, probably don't, but edit their pictures so they do. That can be very toxic. But I feel like that movement, for example, is a good influence to like kind of balance that out. But that could also be kind of restricted by Instagram just taking down posts.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I think that's still a big, big issue.
yeah.
They have to fix somehow, but I mean, I don't think that will happen in the near future. But I don't know, but I think that also like the influencers on Instagram put a lot of pressure on younger people just because they compare themselves, and when they see nudity and they see photoshopped and face-tuned pictures, of course it is perfect, but they, you know, they try to reach the goal to look as perfect as their role model, I guess. And I don't know, but do you think the pressure puts them in the situation that they are kind of forced to be like that, to use makeup as much as a 20-year-old, and to, you know, show their boobies and show their butt and, you know, stuff like that? Do you think their mindset is like, okay, if I see that on Instagram, it should be okay, and it sells very well, and they have a lot of guys or girls admiring them, so the more I show, the more I get, and the more admirable I get, and the more likable I am. Do you think that is the case, and don't you think it is very toxic because they're still in a process of growing up?
Well, definitely, especially the weird sexualization of like underage children effectively is like, I feel like it's growing more and more because children are trying to look older to fit in with those face-tuned Instagram people, and obviously you don't really know it's face-tuned or photoshopped or whatever, and you try to look in real life what these people look like in pictures, which is
Impossible,
usually not
basically,
possible.
yeah.
And then if you don't, you feel like you don't fit in and you are a failure or whatever. Because it's very easy to define yourself over that, especially because people spend more and more time on social media, and it like gets more and more important. I don't really remember where I was going with this, but yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. And I think nowadays it is not as common anymore, but if a nude gets published from someone who wants to bully you, who wants to blackmail you or whatever, what do you want to, or what would you suggest them to do? What would you tell them?
To the person that is getting bullied, or
Yeah.
to the bully?
Maybe first of all to the person who gets bullied, and then the other side.
Well, first of all, it's gonna pass. Like, I knew many people in high school and even before that who had their pictures published and everyone saw them. And you might get bullied for a while, but it's gonna be fine. You're gonna turn out fine. Eventually, like, even if you switch schools or something, at some point you're gonna be fine. It's not gonna ruin your life forever, because sometimes that can feel that way, I believe. But also, like, take legal action, because I feel like that's mostly a high school thing, so I'm kind of gonna focus on that. First of all, you're probably underage, so that's child porn and kind of illegal, so you can really, really sue them. Oh boy. But also in general, if they publish your picture without your consent, you can take legal action.
Yeah. And don't be scared of it to do it, right?
No.
Even if you get blackmailed and the person does say, hey, if you, I don't know, sue me, I'll publish it anyway. Just don't be scared and go for it.
Yeah, because if like they won't delete the picture, they will keep blackmailing you with it to get you to do what they want, and I feel like that's the best way to break that cycle and to get out of that situation.
I feel like I would say something like, for example, if the person thinks that he did something wrong, he gets bullied because of that mistake he did, just gonna suggest or advise that person to, I don't know, take in that mistake and just live with it. Because if he or she regrets doing it, by living with regrets, he or she cannot live normally anymore. She lives under the pressure of that, under the pressure basically. And in order to continue living normally the way you was living before, you just have to swallow it and face the new day.
Okay. Perfect. And do you maybe want to talk about some more experiences you had with it? Do you have any negative or very positive experience?
Well, I keep thinking about this one girl from my high school. Well, actually not my high school, but like a high school where I lived. And she got threatened to have her nudes published, and she just did it herself. She just posted them.
That is actually
And
a
I
really
had
good
so
move.
much respect for her.
Yeah.
I was like,
Definitely.
you go, girl. Like,
Yeah.
that takes some
Yeah.
actual,
Yeah.
like,
Balls.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was like a different experience I had, I guess, where,
But that's a really cool move
yeah.
of her.
Yeah, and she also, like, no one, as far as I know at least, no one really bullied her,
Yeah.
and nothing really came out of it. So
Yeah.
if you're that kind of person, like, go for that. Maybe if someone threatens you.
That's a good
Seems
move.
to be a good solution.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for being part of it. Thank you for talking about your experiences. And, well, you should decide if you want to receive and send dick pics, and everyone else should. But thank you for being here.
Thank you for
having
inviting
us.
us. Was a really good talk. Thank you.